Who likes thrill and excitement? I know I do. My name is Christina Porter, and the thrill and excitement of fishing is one of my favorite pastimes. Though it requires a lot of patience, the thrill of finally getting a bite on your line makes it all worthwhile. The numerous early mornings I've spent fishing with my dad over the summer have made me somewhat of an expert on fishing. Because of this, I'm going to explain the steps to you of how to fish, starting with setting up your rig all the way to actually catching a fish. To start, you're going to need a fishing rod and reel, often called a rig. You can get this at any outdoor sporting store or Walmart, along with a bobber, a sinker, a hook, and your bait, which you will also need. Most rigs will already have their fishing line in it, so mine already has the line set up. Next, what you'll want to do is put the hook on the line. The size of your hook may vary depending on what you're trying to catch. I tend to use a smaller hook because I typically tend to fish for smaller fish. What you'll do is you'll take the end of the line and you'll feed it through the loop at the top of the hook. Then, after you get it fed through, you'll tie a couple knots with the line to make sure that the knot stays intact and the hook stays on the line. Next, you'll want to put your sinker on the line. Your sinker will make sure that your line and your hook do not float above the surface of the water. To attach the sinker, you'll put pressure at the end of the mouth. You'll put the sinker on the part of the line that you want it at, and then you'll put pressure to close it. You'll want your sinker at least 6 inches above the hook. Then you'll want to put your bobber on the line. Your bobber will easily let you know when you have a bite because it'll move up and under the water. You want your bobber to go above the sinker. To attach the bobber, you push a button at the bottom of it, which lets out a latch, and you attach the latch to the part of the string you want it at, and then you release. Next, you'll want to put your bait on the line. The type of bait you use will depend on what you're trying to catch. For starters, I would suggest using worms. First, pick out which worm you want to use. I would suggest using a clip like this to cut the worm in half because you typically only need half a worm. Some people get kind of squeamish when people put the worm on the hook, so I'm not going to show you, but basically what you'll do is you'll take the worm and you'll wrap it around this part of the hook a few times, trying to conceal the hook as good as possible. After wrapping the worm through the hook, you then have finished baiting your line. Now the hard part is over. You have successfully gotten your rig ready to fish. Now all you need to do is find a nice place to fish at. I would suggest fishing in the early morning or late afternoon when it's coolest out. Once you have your spot picked out, you will get to cast out your rig. Each rig is different on how to cast. For my rig, all I need to do is hold down a button and cast it out, releasing the button which releases the line. After you cast out your rig, you'll then need to tighten it up a little bit so you can tell when you have a bite. Now all that's left to do is waiting. This can be hard because you'll have to be patient and sit with your rig until you get a bite. This could take a long amount of time, a short amount of time, or you may not get a bite at all. Once you get a bite, I would suggest yanking your rig upward to help ensure that the hook sticks in the fish so they can't get away. Then reel in your line using the handle on your reel. Once you have a fish close enough, you can lift it up onto the land using your rod. Then you can rebait your line and start again. A final tip is, I know how frustrating fishing can be, especially if you go out one day and you don't catch anything. But the key to fishing is patience. As long as you keep throwing your line back out there and continue to try to catch a fish, you will eventually be successful. Thank you for your time and good luck.